What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with the final tune on Kate Bush's 1978 album Lionheart. And we're up to a tune with a pretty dark name. Make sure I have the order right. Yeah, it's Hammer Horror. You know, this is a phrase that I think it's hard to see outside of the context of violence, outside of the weaponized application of a hammer and the consequences or physical, biological damage this may relate to. Now, it's unclear if this relates to an actual, event, a historical occurrence that is being referenced, or whether this is a sort of created narrative, but it is a sort of violent phrase, or a phrase that suggests violence, whether applied to a specific person because of a specific act, or perhaps someone who used a hammer in multiple acts of violence. It's not really clear, but ultimately, yeah, it's a darker, more macabre type of title. Now again, knowing that her tracks will occasionally have some twists and turns in terms of songwriting and narrative, I'm not quite sure what to make of it, but it does make me think that perhaps the subject matter here will be less pleasant. I am curious of a tune called Hammer Horror being the final tune, as on an album, I should say. As a final comment, I suppose, the distinction between terror and horror might be relevant, in the sense that terror is a feeling you have when you're fearful in anticipation of something that might be awful or horrible, whereas horror is the feeling that you have in the presence of, awful violence or some traumatic experience. So maybe the fact that we are saying hammer horror means the violence has either already happened or is happening over the course of the song, rather than terror, where it might be more about fear or anticipation of it. Again, I think in a lot of cases people use those words interchangeably, so there's no necessary reason why that semantic distinction would be relevant, but it does occur to me. In any case, I will be quiet and we will listen to it. This is Kate Bush. The tune is Hammer Horror, and it's the final tune on her 1978 album Lionheart. Feels heavy. The shimmering brightness of her voice. Percussion of the low end is crazy. Got an edge to it. I love the strings too. It's like this crunchy mechanical layer in those transitional sections. I hear the title phrase, I'm struggling to get that line after. She keeps the lights on to ease her soul. Maybe she is fearful. Okay. Indecision, uncertainty. My system can barely handle the vocals. feeling the album leaves you with. Again, though, the overall sonics of that one are crazy. They're, you know, the shifts where it has this very floaty and maybe a little unsettling feel, but then it kind of rolls into that more energetic section. So yeah, the composition of her tunes, the sort of like arrangement, is just crazy. And again, you know, I only caught a few lines here and there. Need to listen to that some more, but do let me know if you have some insight. But yeah, a very interesting tune. And what I did here suggested that ultimately, you know, there may be fear and or you know, literal physical horror as a result of a hammer, but there was a line like after the phrase hammer horror that I kept missing, and I think maybe there were like different phrases that followed it. But in any case, let me know what you think. Once again, shout out to Kate Bush for this album. Shout out to all of you for sort of guiding me through this journey. First 2 albums in the books. Shout out to Seb for making this material available. Super appreciative to you, sir. And yeah, just let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.